Welcome to Grassroots TV, the oldest public community access media center in the USA. Today, we are high up in the Rockies where the good vibrations go, and I have the great honor and pleasure to introduce a very dear friend of mine. She's been really nice to me. I have Tammy Baar, and I'm sure you've heard of her. You may have seen her around town. She goes by, her clown is
Buttons the Clown.
Buttons the Clown, and she's the founder of Kidtoons Production and Aspen Music Together. She directs theater at Wheeler Opera House.
Direct at the Aspen schools and also for Theater Aspen.
Fantastic. I'm your host, Hinton Harrison, and welcome. Now, Tammy, we've known each other for a long time, and you've been very, generous, and I've worked for you.
You did work for me.
I worked for you for years, and plus, let's go back a little earlier in time. You were born here.
Born and raised in Aspen.
Born and raised in Aspen, and your dad, your family had Tom's Market on the corner, Hyman and Galena.
Yes.
And I remember that. I used to go in that market, and that was a long time ago. And so your family's been here and well established for...
My parents came in the 40s. My father was 10th Mountain Division.
Oh, wow.
So he ended up in Aspen like so many others.
He was in the 10th Mountain Division?
He was.
That's pretty cool. So did he ski in the military?
He didn't ever deploy because they considered him too old. So I think he helped with training, and he was in Leadville.
Fantastic. That's a good story. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, he opened up the grocery store?
He didn't start at the grocery store. He started as a ski instructor, and then he bought different things. He built the center, which is now the Little Nell Hotel. He had a German restaurant called Little Bavaria, which is where Boogie's is.
What else?
Just various.
He was very enterprising.
Yeah. Finally ended up with Tom's Market, although his name was Kurt.
So how did you meet your mom?
They met and married in Vienna, Austria.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a sweet story.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Tammy, now that I have you here, and not only did you hire me as a clown, and I worked for you, and that was great because it was better to work for you than try to do it myself. You could take care of all the business. You do all the paperwork. I just got to show up and clown. You collect the money, give me a check. That was great. We had some wonderful times. There was a lot of great parties we did, right? All over town.
Come back.
Yeah. Well, there's a reason why I'm not doing much, because I'm trying to heal a knee. And if I don't want to get, a knee replacement, I don't want anything artificial, so I'm trying to heal it. It's been painful. It's been hurting me a lot.
Just get the replacement.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know so many people that have done that.
Okay, I understand, and I know people have done it too. But if I'm going to do it, then I got to prepare.
This is true.
Now I got to get myself situated, and I'm going to have to, go in and get the surgery, and then I'm going to have a recovery period. So that means I'm going to have to slow down. I'm going to have to get off the road, I can't keep traveling and recovering. It would be hard to recover on the road, I think, especially with the dog, because I had a hernia operation and I had to crawl out of my van to take him out to potty.
Poor Pee-wee.
But another thing that's really cool too, we have some similar, associations. You turned me on to Gene Buick. Gene
Buick and Acting for Life.
And Acting for Life at the Ventura Theater in Burbank, in California, on Magnolia. And because I moved after leaving here, because I left here in 2002, and then I went to film school, and after film school I went to LA to do some acting. And you recommended Gene, and I went to Gene and I took his classes. And it was a wonderful, experience. Gene was a great guy. And I took some acting classes with him and others. But how did you have an acting background, right? Weren't you? What
I
were you
do
doing?
have an acting background.
I mean, where did you start? In New York? I mean, did you go to
No,
New?
I was in Los Angeles. And I graduated from University of Southern California and then stayed out in California to pursue my career. And I was in a lot of different shows, but I ended up working with Gene for a lot of years. He was just a life-changing, he was a person that comes into your life that changes your life completely for the better.
Sure.
And his wife, Tony, they were amazing. And they wrote an original musical called Pepper Street that I had the privilege of being in for several years, along with a lot of other people that have gone on to have some pretty amazing careers. And
Fantastic. And so,
Yeah.
but why did you leave? Did you, were you married? You weren't married then, right?
I was married.
You were married. Just,
I've been married to Fred forever.
and you had 2 kids with Fred.
Yes.
And you got, what's her names, your kids?
Shannon, who's 27 and lives in Chicago, and CJ, who is going to be 16 pretty soon.
And what is Shannon doing?
Shannon is working for a medical nonprofit in Chicago.
It always amazes me. Kids that grow up in Aspen, it's like all of my friends, their children are brilliant. They're all doing amazing things, out in the world.
I have an amazing memory of the 4th of July parade with you, you and me, and Monique, who is Dizzy Lizzie the Clown, and Shannon and her friend Cleo were little. They were, probably 8 years old, maybe 7 years old, and we were all dressed up like clowns in the Ultimate Taxi, and it was John Barnes's second vehicle, not the main one that he uses. He was going to do a new Ultimate Taxi, and it broke down in the parade. You remember this?
Oh, I knew you were going to go there, and I do remember that. And people thought we were clowning
We
around.
were pushing that stupid car in the parade.
I know, trying to get it out of the parade.
So there's a picture of us in the Mary Hayes Around Aspen book.
Oh, really?
Well, of us all standing in front of that car on that day
Oh,
in our
wow.
clown
I didn't know that. I'd love
in
to
our
see
clown
that.
costumes. It's in the because every once in a while the Around Aspen book is updated. And so in the most recent version of it, we're in that book.
Oh, fantastic. That was an amazing day. You're right. I mean, it was embarrassing in some ways. We knew the car broke down, but people out the spectators probably thought we were clowning
It was
around
pretty
because
funny.
here's a bunch of clowns pushing
the car.
pushing a car. That was a pretty funny memory. And we have a lot of them. We had a bunch of good memories because you had some great bookings. I mean, you have quite a clientele.
I have an amazing clientele.
Yeah.
Just such amazing people. Yeah. And
And-
I have an amazing team of performers right now too.
Yeah.
I am so lucky, and I have just the most amazing group of people that work with me.
Yeah.
It's really good.
No, you always bring together an incredible entourage. And then, of course, Penny, unfortunately, Penny, our sweetheart, she passed away, but she clowned for you for a while, didn't she?
Penny and I worked together for years.
Yeah,
I miss her every
I'm sure.
day. I just miss her so much.
Yeah, and I've known Penny for a long time because Penny and H.E., her husband, had a pharmacy, and I used to do greeting cards, so they put my greeting cards in the. Sorry to bring that up, but I wanted to mention that because Penny was with you for a long time, and she was one of the clowns. She was one of the team, and she was a sweet woman. And so, anything else you'd like to share that would be, because you have, let's see, we talked about Kidtoons Production, which is you're the owner of, and you have managed all this talent you've pulled together, plus you do the Aspen Music Together, and what's that about?
Music Together is an incredible international program it's a mommy and me kind of music class for children, babies up to age 5, and their parent or caregiver coming and doing wonderful music, drumming, shaking eggs, dancing with scarves and ribbons, playing instruments. And I actually went to Music Together classes with my son CJ when he was a baby, and found it to be the highlight of my week. I loved it. It was so fun. And CJ thrived, and he just, as a baby, the music was just so amazing to him. Music is amazing. And so then I ended up going through the training and becoming a teacher when he was about 1.5. And so I've been teaching it since that time. And I bought the license about 3 years ago for the Aspen area. So before that, I was working through Annie Flynn, who you might know, who actually taught the classes that I went to. And then I taught my classes under her umbrella for a long time, 12 years. And then I bought the license for Aspen, and now I run the Aspen classes myself.
You were directing shows at the Wheeler, weren't you? Weren't you doing some programs through the high
Directed shows
school?
at the Wheeler. I direct all the musicals at the Aspen Elementary School every year. Now I've done that for 21 years, and I also direct a lot of musicals for Theater Aspen in the summertime usually. I've done a lot of directing over the years. I seem to have honed it down to just that now because it's a lot.
I'm sure, it's amazing. Sometimes you
If
put
I
on
can do 3 shows during the school year and then 1 show in the summer, that's perfectly good for me.
So you're managing a lot of kids.
Yes, I'm very good at managing kids.
Yeah, because I imagine you got to have a lot of patience, and you got to be able to inspire them. And
Well, I'm either in a clown outfit or a princess outfit or a director or a music teacher. Any way you look at it, I'm really good at managing kids and having a lot of fun with them.
that's the good for you. You got to, because that's a lot of, I guess, pressure in some ways. So any show that you really stood out for you, or is there something, because you just touched on it. You're not saying a whole lot about it. The Aspen Music Together, there has to have been many productions that you really.
Well, Aspen Music Together is music classes.
Oh, that's music classes.
That's music classes. That's me playing my guitar and singing, and and I have family classes, and I teach at local preschools. So that's just amazingly fun, and also gives me an opportunity to work musically with the early childhood kids in this community, which sets them up for me working with them later when I'm directing them in
and some of the productions,
shows, which is really great.
You got anything coming up now? What's your next production?
4th grade musical at Aspen Elementary School. That'll perform in November. So.
And that'll be at the Wheeler?
No, God, no. That'll be at the District Theater.
But you've done stuff at the Wheeler.
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. But most of what I direct is at the district.
Oh, that's right, because now I forget about that. I forgot the theater's over at the school, high school now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
And
that's
it's a beautiful theater, a beautiful state-of-the-art theater. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I've directed at the Wheeler, performed at the Wheeler. And I get to perform every once in a while, too, myself.
Yeah, good. And when you perform, are you clowning or singing, dancing?
No,
what are you doing? Everything?
like 2 years ago, I was Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast,
Ah.
in the Aspen Community Theater's Beauty and the Beast. It was really one of my favorite shows that I've ever done.
I've done that one too. I was the father.
Oh, you'd be really lovely as the father. And
But I was young when I did
I loved
that.
being Mrs. Potts. I would do that again in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, so Mrs. Potts was the mother, right?
she's the teapot.
And
She sings Beauty and the Beast.
right.
While Belle and the Beast dance in the beautiful yellow dress.
Yeah, it's been so long ago for me. That was back when I was in Maine studying mime at Celebration Mime Theater, and they put on a production of Beauty and the Beast, which that means in 1972.
Wow.
So I'd have to be refreshed to remember it. Well, what else you would like to share with us? Is there anything coming up that you would like to mention, or are we missing anything?
Are we missing anything? We have a lot of events coming up soon. I mean, I don't know if this video will be out in time to promote events that are happening in the next few weeks.
It'll
But,
probably be on the air by Friday.
By Friday. Well, Aspen Balloon Festival is the 9th and 10th. So we'll be entertaining early in the morning as clowns.
Yeah,
And
that was a
there's,
fun one. I always did that one. You always picked me up
really
for that. You
great.
used to come by and pick me up, and we'll go. It was luckily
beautiful.
you had a car. I didn't, so I'm glad you did that for me. Not only did she hire me, she picked me up, and she took me to the job, and then she took me home. That was
because
great.
you're a guy.
And she
It's
paid
hard
me.
to get guys that are great. Performers is children's entertainers.
Well, true. I've often done that. I've been in many situations where I had female teachers and they needed guys in the class. You know, so. But again, I would love to do it. It's just that I haven't, my knees been hurting me, and I don't want to complain. I mean, it's okay right now as long as I don't do anything really stress it out. But I rode a unicycle and juggling and all that. It was fun to do that,
I know. I used to make you do that. Ride a unicycle and juggle and put a child on your shoulder just for fun,
When I think back,
I probably wouldn't do that anymore. I mean, everything's different now. No, it's like everyone's got to have liability insurance, and they,
trust
it's
me,
like,
I agree with you.
It's all different.
I would not now. Back then, I can't believe the confidence I had. I mean, I never doubted anything. Somebody asked me, yeah, do it, but I don't have the strength, the confidence to do that now. I mean, then I didn't even think about it.
We used to do things too in the plays that I directed. We would have children fly. Would you can you pull the thing and have the child flying because he's got to be, Neil Armstrong walking on the moon, or, and we built scaffolding because it's a cliff dwelling and the kids are climbing up the rickety ladder. Anyway, I think about all that stuff now and think, yeah, we've changed. Apparently I'm older because now it's like, I can't do any of those things. No.
No, don't trust me. I understand.
Simplify it.
Yeah, no. I've done some wild things myself, and probably the stupidest thing I did, and I have to say stupid because I rode on my unicycle across the United States in 1986 on the Peace March. I became the Peace Clown and was, back in 86 and we were protesting war and Star Wars and things like that. That probably wasn't a good idea. I mean, riding a unicycle every day, all day long, across the United States was very.
A little bit of a challenge.
Well, I was younger and had more strength, but I did it. But it was, I'm paying for it now.
Do you still have your hat?
That's a good question.
Because I had it for you for years, but
I
gave it back to you.
Oh, you gave it back to me?
Yes, I did. So I hope you still have it.
No, well, I don't have it. I don't know exactly. I think it's Stewart. It's in Baltimore in storage with some other history of mine, but it was too small. My head got bigger. Everything got bigger. I gained weight. My feet got bigger, and I'm taller. Actually, I've grown a ½ inch. I can't believe it. And my foot is
That's really unusual because I've shrunk a ½ inch.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll probably reach the point where I might start shrinking. But right now, I am 6 foot tall. I was 5'11 and a half. Now I'm 6 foot, and I used to have just a size 11. Now I got a 12 foot.
Well, feet do get bigger. That is
well,
true.
Big feet would be fine. I'll just get a big pair of clown shoes. Like you. You got clown shoes, don't you?
I do, but they're made from a mold of my feet, so they actually fit me like a glove.
Good. You got to. I wish we had a picture of you. People go to Kidtoons production, they could see pictures, right? You have a lot of photos on that?
Tons of photos on my website and on Facebook too, which is linked there. I'm really bad at social media except for Facebook. I'm really good at Facebook, and I post things regularly. Yeah,
because I would love for the audience to see her clown. She's got the coolest outfit. She's very creative. I love your look. You're, a real mama clown.
Let me tell you about some of my team. One in particular that is really something that is near and dear to my heart. Danielle Coulter has cerebral palsy.
I saw her. I took a picture of her post. That's a very special clown.
Well, she's 25, but I met her when she was 5, and I used to go and clown for Challenge Aspen. They do a summer theater program called The Magic of Theater and Dance, and there would always be one day where Buttons would go there to entertain them, and that's when I first met Danielle, and she loved me. And I loved her.
Yeah. No,
and Pinky would go with me. Shannon was Pinky the clown at that time, and so I always took her with me. She was growing up. I thought this was a good thing for her to do.
Right.
So we just loved Danielle, and whenever they came to town every summer, we would see her. I would go clown.
Yeah.
Then I didn't see her for a number of years, and 3 years ago, bumped into her in the lobby of the Alpine Bank with her mom. Was like so happy and thrilled to see her, and they said that they had just moved here permanently.
From where?
From Kansas.
Kansas.
And I said, jokingly, "Oh, you live here. You should be a clown with me." Well, I get a phone call a few days later and I can't understand it, because the frustrating thing with Danielle, which frustrates her to no end, is with cerebral palsy, it's sometimes hard to talk and be understood.
Right.
Her brain is phenomenal. She's smarter than me, it's hard to understand her. So she left this message. And then the next message was her mother saying, "This is Cheryl and Danielle's mom. She just left a message telling you that she really wants to be a clown." So then she sent me a Facebook message, and then I realized that we can write each other and then it's clear.
Sure.
She wanted to be a clown. And I thought, wow, I have to think about that. I have to give that some thought. I had breast cancer and I was I know you didn't know that. Anyway, I was right in the middle of dealing with that, with treatments and stuff at that time. So I said, I'm dealing with medical stuff. Let me just be done with that and let me think about it. And I need to sit on that one for a while. Because she walks, it's hard, she walks in a floppy way. She
I wish we could
doesn't
show a
have
picture.
full use of her hands, she has cerebral palsy.
Did you make her costume? Because it looks like
Well,
yours.
so one night, I kept thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it. And one night it came to me, my God, she looks like a rag doll when she walks. Let's turn her into a rag doll.
Yeah.
And so I ran that by her, said, "You could be Danny Doll, the rag doll clown." She loved that. So we both started searching for costume ideas. And so I don't remember if she found that costume or I found that costume. Well, at this point, she has a few different costumes. But we found that great costume, and then I experimented with makeup. I have pictures on my phone of the various designs. It was like, oh, that's not good. Anyway, we found a really cute design, cute hair, and Danny Doll was born. And she started doing events. I just started inviting her to some events with us that spring, just to see how it was, and also to figure out what she might be able to do.
Right.
So she figured out that she could do puppets, and she amassed a really wonderful collection of puppets. And then in the summertime, we realized bubbles. Got the bubble wands, and she makes this bubble solution that she puts in a pan, and she does giant bubbles and has extra wands, and the kids come and do bubbles with her. Fabulous. And so now she's been working for me for 2.5 years.
Fantastic. I saw her the other day with you. I took a picture, I posted,
Yeah.
it says special clown. She's a real sweetheart. And you have photos of her on your page?
Tons of pictures of her on Facebook.
Cool.
For sure. I
So-
take lots and lots of pictures of her because I can't resist.
Okay, well, listen, it's coming to a closure, and I have a poem, and it's kind of poem for you, too. It's
I
so.
love poems.
But I thank you for coming on the show. I love you very much. I think you're very
I love
special
you
to me.
too,
I
Hinton.
mean a lot to me, and I always will. I would do anything in the world for you. So I'm going to read a poem to Tammy, and of course to the viewer, and it's called Aspen Lovers. Rapture in the valley, spring lovers ring, fertile melody buds, pollen sets flight, thistles, sunflowers, and dandelions. Yellow awakens passion, songbird sweet trill, flowering crabapple tree, forever blossoming beauty, expressions of poetic senses. Spinning in vortex, two helixes lost in passionate fever. Soaring in celestial harmony, cleansing hearts open, freeing the imagination, writing hypnotic poems, lost in infinite dreams, journeying beyond constellations. Aspen lovers entwine with their human nature. So again, thank you very much. Love you. Bless you. So glad you come on. I've been trying to get you to come on here. So again, thank you very much. You've been watching Grassroots TV, and it's Lifestyles of the Poor and Unknown. My name is Hinton Harrison. People often say to me, "Why do you say poor?" Well, you know, there's upper class, middle class, and there's poor. In Europe, they're called commoners. So us commoners, have very talented people. Some are very special, like Tammy. Tammy's special. So I think that's about it. The camera's going off, so we're done. Or no, it's still on. Is it on? But anyway, thank you very much.